How did you enjoy our high tea today?
It was lovely. Beautiful food, great company, beautiful ambience, what more can I ask for?
Thank you. So we're just going to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
Yep. So, how do you write genre you write? So what genre do you write?
So I write romantic suspense, sort of the women's fiction end of romantic suspense. And I guess I chose that, or that genre chose me, because I love stories that have not only got happy endings, but have also got a whole stack of action going on in them, and hopefully crime, and that all leads into the characters developing their relationship along the way as they work their way through whatever drama is boiling.
So do you happy ending?
I always end with a happy ending to date. For me to say that in the future I may not have a slightly less happy ending, but I still like an optimistic ending. So, and I like reading books that have got optimistic endings, even if they're a bit dark.
Okay. Do you plot, or do you just go with the flow?
I go with the flow. I'm a dive the book hamster. Sit down, start writing, and see where the characters take me on a journey.
So do your characters talk about you?
Yes, that crazy lady with the characters talking in her head. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, definitely. I hear the voices, I hear them. Dialogue is something that I very much can see them as well, in those conversations. So, and I just keep writing until I get to the end of the story.
Okay, do they talk to you like at any time of the day, night?
I think you're always in tune with the authors, with the writers, with the characters when you're writing. I think there's always, they're there bubbling away in the back of your mind. So while they might not interrupt conversations, they're there on call.
Okay.
So you can access them.
So what do other authors do you read or do you admire?
Yeah, look, I read a lot of women's fiction type stories. So Monica McInerney is one of my favourites. I've just discovered Jojo Moyes. Absolutely adore her writing. Who else? Fiona McIntosh. Rachel Johns, of course. And there's one more that I'm trying to remember there, but I can't get my head around. So, but I also read books by Daniel Silva. I read John Grisham. I read all the child's books. Absolutely love them. So I guess I read a mix of books that are. I feel this.
So what's your favourite thing about being a romance author?
I get to dream up plots, and I get to weave those characters through those plots, and I think that's a great deal of satisfaction, is getting to the end of the story and going, yeah, I've told their story for them. And some of those characters are so vivid and so real. It's a compelling need to tell their stories. So that's the bit I enjoy most about writing, I suppose. And being a writer, I get to sit in the sarong on a boat and write romance. What's not to love about that?
That's a good idea.
No suits and work for me, and no deals.
So, what's the first either romance novel you remember reading, or first novel you remember?
I can't remember the name of it, but it was a Violet Winspear, Mills and Booms. And it was the first time I'd ever read one of those. I'd snapped it from my sister's bookshelf. Absolutely loved it, and reread it and read it and reread it. I can't find it. I've scoured the internet trying to find that particular storyline. Can't find it. But absolutely loved it. And then of course I grew up on the diet of the Jane Austens and the Bronte sisters. So I guess they're the early ones. Though having said that, I guess Anne of Green Gables I still think of that as a romance as well, and that's a go-to story for me if I'm looking back at kids' stories.
What kinds of books did you love as a child? So obviously that Green Gables.
Yes, Five Fine Hours and Dog, absolutely devoured Enid Blyton. My very first book that I remember is Pookie the White Rabbit, and Pookie the White Rabbit was something of an environmental crusader. So that book is over 50 years old now, because it wasn't new when I read it. I still love Pookie the White Rabbit. It's a Canadian author, I can't remember her name. Snugglepot and Cuddlepie were other books that I grew up with as a kid. Then I graduated to Trixie Belden, and I think she was my first feisty heroine, where I thought, yeah, you can go out there and do anything. So Trixie Belden, and from there I started to move into sort of the more crime fiction books before I found my way back to romance eventually.
Okay. So what's next for you?
Next for me is something that's more, I think it's probably, I could say it's more from the heart. It's a women's fiction book of all different ages of women, and they're all in the same family. There is inevitably some mayhem in there, because I need to have that. There are some happy endings, there are some not so happy endings, and there's tragedy. But it's coming from the heart because it deals with a great deal of what my own family's gone through in the last year or so. So whether this book will actually ever see the light of day, I don't know. It might just be cathartic writing, in which case I've got another dozen storylines out there that I want to write. But this one, the characters, two of them in particular, were so determined to be written that I just needed to do it. So we'll see.
So yeah, how did you enjoy the high tea today?
High tea was fantastic, absolutely beautiful, lovely idea, and I think it was a great way to talk to readers and just get to have a chat with people who are like-minded.
Okay, so did you enjoy the sort of intimate sort of?
Yeah, I think those sorts of. I think 8 is a perfect number.
Yep.
I think 10 is probably just a little bit too big.
Yep.
Because then you wouldn't necessarily get to talk to that. We could have full table discussions there.
Yeah.
And that's great
Yeah.
because everybody gets to meet everybody else and equal, and that's what it should be. I think it's fun.
Okay. And how do you enjoy being part of ARA?
Love it. What's not to love about an organisation that supports its writers so wonderfully, but it's also about companionship and about being able to connect with people that are like-minded. And again, while I'm not a huge vocal participant, if you like, on some of the online stuff and the loops and things, I'm a lurker in the background. I don't have enough time, but I love lurking and just seeing what's going on. So, I think it's credit to this small band of very hard-working women that make this happen, because I know how much work goes into it. So well done to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Helene.
My pleasure.
Hope to see you.